Hello everyone, welcome to Quick Code Academy. Today in this tutorial we are going to learn everything about web development. So if you are just starting to learn web development, so this is the place for you. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's start with the video. So in web development there are three main technologies which are used, which is HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So in future, if you plan to learn about Angular and React, and if you know these three technologies, so it's going to be way easier for you than the other developers. So make sure that you learn these things carefully, and I need your attention throughout this video. So let's just see first HTML. So HTML is backbone of your website. Okay, so it allows you to create the structure and content of your web page. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So why it is called hypertext? Because in HTML document you cannot just have text, so you can have hypertext. That means you can also have links which allows you to interact or navigate between the pages. So that is why it is called as hypertext. So it is just like building your house, right? So when you build your house, you decide where the bedroom should be, where the kitchen should be, where the hall should be, where the staircases should be, where should be our windows and doors, right? In website world, HTML does that job for you. So later in the video we are going to learn more about HTML. So now the next part is CSS. So if you just build the house, right, so it won't look visually appealing. So you need to add some color paint to your walls, you need to add curtains to your windows, you need to pick out furniture. So after that your house will look much more aesthetic, isn't it? So in website world, CSS does that job. So if you want to decide font on your web page, you need to decide what should be the correct size of font, what should be the background color of my website, what should be the width of specific widget on my web page. So all these things are decided using CSS. So CSS is just a beautification to your web page. So once you add CSS to your web page, it looks amazing. So now the next is JavaScript. So in your house there are a lot of functions, like you can turn on your light, you can adjust the temperature of your AC, you can play music when somebody enters into your house. So in website world, JavaScript does that job for you. This makes your web page more interactive and responsive to user actions. So before we start learning about web development and implement the codes of HTML, CSS and JavaScript, these are the prerequisites in order to implement that code. So which are text editor and browser. So assuming that everybody has browser, so browser can be anything, your Google Chrome or Edge is also fine. And for text editor, though you can use Notepad, Notepad++, Atom, but my favorite is VS Code. Okay, so if you want to install VS Code, then you can go to Google and just type VS Code, and you will get the link for downloading VS Code, and from here based on your machine setup you can download that. And today in this world everyone knows how we can download the software, so I'm not going to go much in detail. Okay, so once you download VS Code, so it will look something like this, and you can start with your web development. Okay, so everyone, now we all know that what these three technologies means on high level. So now it's time to learn about each technology in detail. So we are going to start first with HTML. Okay, so here I am opening my VS Code. On your screen it may look something like this, and here I'm going to open one folder. Okay, so based on your convenience you can create the folder as per your want. So here I'm choosing one of the folder, and here I will create new folder, so which would be, so here we have this option new folder, and here I will just mention web development, and I'm going to choose this folder as my starting point. So now we have choose this folder. So to create new file, you can click on this web development folder, and from here you can start creating your first HTML file. So let's give that file name as index.html. So whenever we create HTML file, it is must to have the extension as .html. In this case, the name of my file is index, and .html is the extension which I have. So since we have created this index.html file, now we will create hello world program in this HTML file. So let's start with creating HTML syntax. So whenever we have to write any HTML file, we need to mention the document type and what version it belongs to. So in HTML we can do this using this opening tag exclamation. We need to write doc type and HTML. This statement tells our file is HTML, and whenever we start HTML, so we need to add root tag as HTML. So here you can see what I have done. Since I have opened this tag HTML, I am closing this tag as well. So how we close that tag? This with this sign /HTML and closing tag. Okay, so in this way we have to enclose all our tags within this single HTML tag. Now I will add two more tags, head, like this, the way we have added HTML head, and I'm closing the head as well, and below that I will add body tag in similar manner. Okay, what are these tags? I'm going to cover it in a later section of video, but right now whatever you will type within this body section will get visible in your browser, and whatever information which we add in head section is basically metadata of your HTML page. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. So let's say here I add one title tag as HTML tutorial, and in body section, the way I told you, we are going to create first hello world program, so we will simply write hello world. Okay, so now I'm saving this file. So first part is done. We have created a basic program of HTML. Now we need to see these results on browser, right? So how we can run this file is we can simply copy path, and if our browser is open, we can paste this path as it is. So if we paste this path, as you can see, hello world is getting printed on my browser. Okay, so here, just to make it visible more, I am adding this inside one heading tag. Okay, so what these tags are, as I said, I'm going to cover in later part of video. So as of now, this is just a heading part which will make the font bigger. Okay, so now I'm going back to my browser, and if you see, the changes are not getting reflected. So here we need to click on this refresh icon. Okay, so in this way we can run our first file. Okay, so not only that, since I am going to cover this topic entirely, right, so I will give you few tricks and tips as well. So the reason I ask everyone to choose VS Code is VS Code has something known as extensions. So if you go to extension, here you need to write live server. Okay, and the first links which you will get, so that you need to install in your VS Code. So the advantage of installing VS Code is, so now if you go back to this code, and here if you click on a right click, and then if you click on open with live server, so it will create your own local server. And what is the advantage of that is, so whenever you will type something, so let me split my screen into two halves, and here if you write something QCA, and then it will automatically get reflected on your Chrome. So there is no need to click on the refresh icon again and again. Now if you compare our HTML file and the results which we are getting on the browser, so you would notice we are whatever we are writing under this body tag, we are able to see on screen as it is. Okay, and if you notice, we have written something called as HTML tutorial in this title tag. So can you find where we can see this? I don't think we are able to see this anywhere on the screen, but if you just pay attention to this tab, so here you will get to know the HTML tutorial is also getting reflected. So here also if we add something, so here it's getting reflected, correct? So in this way we can utilize this title tag. So now you have learned how we can create our first HTML file and how we can display hello world in that HTML file. So before we try to learn more about HTML, so I'm going to clarify few terminologies in this video. Okay, so in HTML we have something called as opening and closing tag. So the tag which is opened, that has to be closed. Okay, so here in this highlighted thing you can see this is called opening tag and this is called a closing tag. Okay, so here above you can see this h1 is opening tag and this h1 is closing tag. Okay, so opening tag generally starts with this angle brackets. Okay, and closing tags, within angle brackets we have this forward slash as well. Okay, and this entire opening closing tag of one thing is called element. Okay, so this is h1 element, so this is body element, this is title element, the entire thing. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify you this thing so that it won't be a cognitive load on you to understand this once we move ahead in this video. Now we are going to learn about the heading tags. So in text you may want to give some header to your web content, right? So in HTML we have 6 types of heading. Okay, the one with highest font size is heading 1 and the lowest is heading 6. Okay, so accordingly in your web content you can choose what heading you want to provide, right? So here how we add heading tag, so this is h and then we need to specify the number. Okay, so number is nothing but the type of heading and the font size it indicates. So if it is 6, it's going to be much smaller as compared to heading 1, and in that way you can choose what heading you need to provide. Okay, so now we have 6 types of heading. We don't have more than that, like you cannot add h7 or h0. Okay, so it is in the range of h1 to h6. Okay, and as per your want you can add whatever heading you want. Okay, so now we have something called as p tag. The reason we use p tag is, so if you check a book, right, so you cannot directly add the text as it is, so there should be some logical separations, right? So p tag does that job for you. So you can add paragraphs. So let's say if I am adding a lot of content, right? I don't think you are able to see that since I have added a lot of text. So you can see if you have large description, right? So you can enclose within this p tag. So p tag is nothing but paragraph tag. So it will help you to showcase your text better on the screen. So if you now save it, now you are able to see the entire text, correct? So now if I copy this text again and if I paste it, so now you will see the difference. So see, automatically it has added new paragraph in our web content. So if you don't add this paragraph tag, right, so all the information will be shown as it is. Okay, so you can divide your text in logical boundaries using p tag, the way I have shown over here. Okay, so now let's say within this paragraph I have to highlight a few specific words, right? So how I can do that? We can use some tags of HTML which can emphasize or stylize a particular text. Okay, so let's say, let me go to browser again. So let's say I have to make this ipsum word as bold. So we can either use strong tag. Okay, so since we are creating this tag, we have to close it as well, and you can see I have enclosed this ipsum word within strong tag. So if you look at the paragraph now, like this ipsum keyword has become bolder. Okay, and like there are various styles. Okay, some people use strong tag. You can also use bold tag to emphasize this thing. So here let me replace it. So now this is bolder. Also you can add some style like italic, like this. So now in this lecture you have learned how we can add headings, how we can add paragraph, and how we can emphasize particular text by using strong, italic and B tag, which is bold. So now we are going to learn how we can represent information on our screen in list format. So we have two types of list. One is order list and other one is unordered list. Okay, so first we will see what the order list is. So order list is created using this OL, opening and closing tag. OL is just a shorter version of order list, and once we mention what is the type we want, we need to mention the list items within that. So these items we can show it using the li tag. Okay, so here I am adding 3 li elements. So I will just say for one is apple, for second one apple orange, and third one I will say what fruit name I should give here. So I will just give banana. Now if you see on this web page, we have got the list in the number format 1, 2, 3, right? So if you want to make it unordered, right? So if you just want to see the bullet points, so in that way what you can do, you can, I'm just copy paste like this, and here comes the unordered list part. So instead of OL I will just say UL. Okay, so now you can see the difference. In order list we are getting the list in numerical order, but here we are getting this in the bullet point. So in this way you can select what is the best strategy you can place in for your web content. Okay, and as you must have noticed, so here, so whenever I am changing this tags, right, so it is automatically the closing tag is also getting renamed. So for that I am actually using one extension. So you can, as I said earlier, for live server I showed you one extension, right? So we have one more extension like auto rename tag, auto rename. Okay, so this I have already installed. So what it does, so when you try to rename any first tag, right, automatically it will change the respective closing tag. So in that way the hassle would be reduced on your end. Okay, so make sure that you also install this tag. So now we are going to learn about how we can create links in our HTML. So in order to create link, you need to use anchor tag. So for that you need to write a, and VS Code has already given me one hint. After pressing tab I got this entire element. So basically in anchor tag is represented using a alphabet, and within that we have this attribute known as href. Okay, so let's say I add one link right here, click. Okay, so it will be shown like this on the web page, and here from this page I will just google.com I will say. Okay, and this website URL I will copy as it is and I will place it here. Okay, so what will happen, so when I will click on this particular text, right, so it will navigate me to the google.com. so in this way you can interact with HTML page. Okay, so now we have learned how we can create link within HTML. So earlier, if you remember, I told you why this language is called HyperText markup language, because this text has embedded link within it so that we can interact with our web page. Hello everyone, so sorry for interrupting in between the video. So I want to make special request to you all. So to create this long format content usually takes a lot of time. So to keep me motivated, so make sure to consider subscribing to my channel so that I will keep on working on this latest stuff and try to educate every one of us. Okay, let's learn about how we can add image in our web page. And I know at a lot of sites you must have seen there are a lot of images. So in this video we are going to learn how we can add the image inside our web document. So in order to add image you need to use img tag. Okay, so one thing is different in this tag is, so img tag doesn't have any closing tag. Okay, it will only just have the opening tag. So in order to add image in our website we should have the image in our folder, or we can use any external link from web browser. Okay, so here now I have already added one image, this em.png, and this I need to add it in our web page. So here what I am going to do, I am going to copy this path and I am going to add this image path as it is. So since it is in the same folder, right, so instead of adding the path of whole image I will just mention image.png, and let's see whether it reflects in our browser or not. So you can see it's getting reflected in our browser. So now one thing we will have to do is we will have to specify some height and width to it. So how we can do that? So for that one we need to set this attribute as height 600 and width as 500, And now as soon as I mention this, you can see my image has become smaller, so you can reduce it further. So maybe I will just keep 400 and 300. So now you can see it is perfectly fitted into my web page, right? So in this way you can manipulate and adjust the site. Additionally, you can see this alt attribute as well. So this is for alternate text. So here if I just mention party image, so let me tell you what is the significance of this attribute is. So let's say while adding src this attribute, the path changes after some times and this image disappears. Okay, so in that way we should be having some fallback text in order to show that particular thing, right? So what that placeholder means. So if I'm just removing this image, and now you can see, though we are not able to see that image due to some reason, but here people can see, okay, this image is not loading, but the alternate text is party image. That means some party of image must be there. Okay, so you can utilize this thing in case of failure. So that was all about image. Let's move to the next topic. So now we are at the crucial point in our video where we are going to learn about form section. So website many times have this form section, so I would want you to pay attention to that this section. So here we have created multiple form elements, and I am going to discuss one by one in detail. So if you see, we have created one form tag, okay, and it has one attribute as action and one is method. So this action is nothing but a URL or a API to which you want to submit your form, and this is method. So for APIs we generally have the API tabs as get, post, put, delete and all. So those we are going to cover in the JavaScript lecture, but here as of now in this way we can create form element, and within that we can enclose all other elements. Okay, so let's see on browser how it looks. So if you see, now we have the field name as username, password, and here we have the input field. Also you would see when I'm typing password, nothing is visible. Then we have the radio buttons, then we have checkboxes, we have text area, we have drop down. So usually in website world you will find this forms everywhere. So let's check on the coding aspect. So here if you see, first one is user name, this is label. So this label can be created using the label element. So just like this you can see, and here for means this label is for which input. Okay, so here if you see, I have this input field, right, and the ID and name says username. Also this says this is for this particular input field. So if you just look at over here, so this is our label and this is our input field. Okay, so let's move to the input field. So input field have this type as text. Okay, so you can change this. So if you change it to password, just like in below example, it will become a password, and it has ID should be unique. So whenever you give ID to specific element of our web page, then it should be unique. Name you can give as per your need, but it should be meaningful. Okay, and this required tag says it is required. So if you don't fill anything, any information in this input field, then it won't accept your it won't submit the form. It will say please fill this field because of this input field, because of this required attribute which we have mentioned in the input. Now similar to password, we have the label is password, it is for password form element. And if you see, for here the input type is password, so that is why whenever we are typing, it's hiding it. Okay, so it is showing dots, but it is not fully showing the entire password. Why? Because we wants user information to be protected. So let's move on to the next thing. We have radio buttons. Okay, so radio buttons, for radio buttons we need to have the type as radio, we need to mention unique ID, we should be, so if it is part of one group, right, the name should be same for two radio buttons. So here in this case we have one radio button as male and one as female, but if you see the name of these two is gender only. Okay, and for each one we have label. So in this case the label is after radio button here also, and this field set includes everything under one tag. Okay, so that if you see on browser you are able to see this legend gender and it has some border around it. So if you just remove this field set attribute, right, you won't be able to see that border. Okay, so I'm just removing this border. Now you can see the border has disappeared, but you can still see male and female, and you can see those radio buttons. Okay, similar to radio buttons we have this checkboxes. For checkboxes also we have given this field set tag. The legend is interest, so you can see over here the legend is interest, and let me again show it in this splitted format. Now we have input as checkbox, not radio, this is checkbox. Checkbox is different. So whenever we click on something which has type as checkbox, we will get this tick icon. Okay, we can check and uncheck that. Label as ID, if there are multiple checkboxes but they belong to one group, then this name should be same. The way we are showing for reading and sports, the name is same. Excuse me. Then we can specify the value, whether it's reading or it's sports. Okay, and similar to that we have included them in one field set. Now the next one is text area. So if you see there is some difference. So this is input field. So here if you want to add text in one line you can add it, but let's say you want to add some lengthy description, so in that case this input field will not serve the purpose, right? So in that case we will need text area. Okay, so how we create text area? So as the name suggests, it will have opening closing tag as text area. It will have unique ID, name you can mention as per your want, and you can also mention rows and columns. Okay, so let's play with this rows and column. So if I increase, if I let me split it again. So if I increase this rows to 10, so you will notice that the text area size is just increased. Okay, so similarly if you want to increase the width of it, right, so you can mention something like 100 and you will be able to notice now we have much more larger text area. Okay, so in this format you can play with your text area. So here in text area the important attributes are rows and columns, which basically suggests the height and width of the text area, and it is used when the you want to enter something lengthy text. Okay, so now we have something called as drop down, right? So how drop down we can create, just like other form fields we can create label for it, like choose a car. Okay, and we can mention for which element it is, and then if you notice we have select element over here. So we have opening select, closing select, we have ID, we have name, and then all the list values which we are seeing over here, Volvo, SAAB, Mercedes and Audi, are mentioned like option, okay, like this. So each option is inside select tag, okay. So first we have Volvo, SAAB, Mercedes and Audi, and we have respective value of those. So why we are giving this value option? So even if we don't give this value option, right, still we would be able to see this information, okay. So it won't cause any issues. But why we are doing this? Because sometimes what can happen, your display name is different and the value which you want to pass to form, right, if you want to pass to API, can be different. So this is your display value. So let's say if I change this value, it won't change it over here, okay. So this is for internal purpose, but if you change this value over here, it will immediately get reflected in this drop down, okay, the way you are seeing over here. So if you want if your value to show and value to be passed to the external URL is different, then we can utilize the value section. So now you can see for each option we have respective values. Now last we have the submit button and we have the reset button. So before showing submit button, I will show you what the reset button does. So for reset button, you need to type input tag and the type is reset. So let's say I am entering any of the details. Here I am selecting gender, here I am selecting this checkboxes, and here I am writing anything, okay, any random thing. And now I just want to reset this form, okay. So it's really difficult to hit backspace, remove it. So in that case, we can click on reset and everything on the form will get resetted. So in that case, it is beneficial. So now let's talk about submit. So if we give input type as submit, so what it does is, so it will submit our form details to the external URL. So here we have just added dummy URL as submit form /submit form and method as post. So if I type something and here I am using anything and here selecting Mercedes, and if I click on submit, so it will take me to the /submit form and it will post that detail to that URL. So all this part we are going to learn in JavaScript, but keep a note of it. So when we have to submit form, we need to mention input type as submit. So now basically on high level you have learned about form elements, okay. So now we are going to learn about most important task in tag in HTML, that is div tag, okay. So if you want to group together a lot of things inside one tag, right, so those can be divided using div tag. So that's why the name says div, and that div tag we can add it like this, okay. So opening will say /div and closing will say /div. So let's say I'm creating one order list, okay. Within that I have 1 2 3 and I will just copy paste as it is, okay, just to show you. So and I will run this file again the way I showed you earlier. So now you won't notice any difference, okay, but here, so I was going to cover this part in CSS, but let me show you. So if you give some style, right, background color is red, so now you will notice that this entire division is highlighted, okay. Now we have grouped this information inside one thing. So let's say if you plan to add paragraph as well, right, p tag I will just add information as lorem ipsum. So this entire two sections will have the same styling, okay. So now that means these two things are grouped together in one div tag. Okay, so likewise if you want to create one more division into your web page, right, and here I will say yellow, and this basically don't worry about this style thing, because that I am going to cover this attribute which we wrote, right, so that I am going to cover in my CSS lecture. But here you can see in this way we can divide our web page into different divisions. Okay, so by using div tag, the similar like functionalities you can include in one division, in other division, and you may want to give them background color, or if you want to give them border, so then that also you can give it like this. So here I will mention 1px solid black, and you can see like I am getting the border as well. Okay, so as we will move ahead in the CSS lecture, we will get to learn about the styling part, but basically remember that this div tag you would be using like 70% of the time in your web development project. Okay, so if you want to divide your application, group certain elements inside one division, that can be done using this div element. So hello everyone, so now in this lecture we are going to learn about HTML semantics. Okay, so whenever we will structure our document, we should be structuring our HTML document in proper format, so that it is human readable as well as machine readable. This is not must in this format only, you need to create everything, but when you create the HTML document in this format, it would be helpful for everyone, and we should follow best practices whenever possible. So this is the code snippet I have written, and I am going to explain each one by one, but I will show you how it looks on UI. So if you see, like this is kind of mini basic level website that you are looking at, where we have website title. If you click on home, so it will show home section. If you click on contact, it will show you contact section. If you click on about, it will go to about us section. So right now we just have the services and the about us section, so that is why you are not able to see everything. Okay, so basically when I am clicking on about, it is getting scrolled to about section. I am clicking on services, it is automatically getting scrolled to our services section. Okay, so let's see how we have done it using our HTML. So here we have this header section, so whatever content you need to place at the header of our application, that should be present in this header section. And we have already learned about the h1, so this is the most important heading, that is why it is included in h1 tag, and it is visible on our browser. So let me split it again. Now the next is nav. Okay, so this tag we are coming across first time in this video. So now whenever you want to add any content which has navigation section, right, so the way if I am clicking on about, it is, though I am not able to see, but if you notice clearly, if I scroll up and if I click on about, it is navigating me to the about us section. So whenever there is some navigation related stuff happening at the header level, so that should be included always in the navigation tag. And the one important thing which I want to highlight, so if you don't have any idea, right, so you can just hover over to that tag and it will show you the details, like nav element represents a section of page which links one page to another page, right. So for this purpose we use nav section. This UL thing we have already learned, that in order to create this unordered lists with bullet points, we can make use of unordered list, and within that we can have each list item. So here if you notice, like how we can bring together different sort of things, right, and create new thing. So here what we have done, we have included a list item, and within that we are using this link section. Okay, and this link section has this href attribute. So earlier in the example I showed you how we can use the external link, right? Now here the purpose is different. Here whenever I am clicking on about, it should navigate to this section, right? So that is why if you see this about section below, this id we are directly pasting as it is, okay, to here. So that means whenever I will click on about, it will focus on this area, about us section. Okay, so in this way whatever content we need to place at header level, that should be included in the header section, so that if another person comes tomorrow, he would be able to see the logical boundaries between our HTML document. So whatever the content which we are going to place in the main section, right? So that should be under the main section with main tag. Okay, so this tag represent the content of the body. Now here we can divide our web content into separate section using this section tag. Okay, so if you have one document, but within that if you have multiple sections, right, so you can make use of this section tag. Now we have this article tag. So whenever you must have seen in the most website, if there is any blog or forum post, right, so generally whenever we add it in our web content, right, we should be using this article. Okay, because you can use div as well, but it is better to follow HTML semantics, and in the using this article tag you can embed those things into your web page. Okay, so as this helping note also says, right, the article element represents a complete self-contained composition document, and in principle this is independently and distributable and reusable. Okay, so this your article can be placed at multiple sites, right? So it is independent of your web content. So in that case you can use article section, article tag. Okay, so similar to this we have this section, as a section we have id and then we have article. Okay, now here comes the interesting part. So whenever you want to add anything at the bottom of your website, right, so generally we have this copyright, all rights reserved, all those remarks at the bottom of your web page. So at that time you should be using this footer tag, which automatically place your whatever you add inside that tag, it will get added into your in the bottom of your web page. So in this way you will be able to create simple basic looking website. Okay, now as Quickcode Academy subscriber, you got to know about basics of HTML and be able to create simple looking website as well. Okay, so this was the first part of this web development where we covered HTML, and within that we covered a lot of concepts like how we can create HTML file. We created the first hello world program. Then we got to know about headings, how we can add paragraphs, how we can add anchor tag which is link, how we can create order and unordered list. We created one form as well where I showed you how we can create label input elements. We can how we can protect the input element by adding password so that it would be shown in dots. How we can submit the form information, how we can add the description in text area, how you can create the checkboxes radio button. Now in the end we learned how we can create simple looking website with multiple section, with header section, footer section, and how the navigation can be done at the header level. So all these basic things we have learned in this web development of part 1 of HTML. And going forward in the next coming videos, I will be explaining CSS in detail, JavaScript in detail, and after ending those two parts, we will create a website, beautiful looking website is possible in my CSS video only, but we will be able to create highly interactive website. And after completing all this part, you will be able to learn lot of things about web development, and you may get front-end engineer job as well. So stay tuned for more videos, more tutorials, and if you have any doubts, you can place your comment on my YouTube channel. And I just want to request one thing: creating these tutorials takes a lot of my time, and in order to keep me motivated, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching this part 1 tutorial. I will be creating 2 more parts of it, one for CSS, one for JavaScript, and if it looks good, then we will create at the end one tutorial within which we will include everything, and we will showcase one great looking website. Thank you.